Hi, this is Eric from Cozy Cabins, and I wanted to explain this year's initial plus one. So, just a quick reference, plus one is an unexpected surprise somewhere in the customer journey. We're trying to put as many plus ones in the customer journey as possible. And for Cozy Cabins, we put our plus ones through our brand filters, and our brand filters are family, nature, and playful. So there has to be a family element to it, there has to be a connection to nature through it, and there has to be some kind of playful element to it. So here's the one that we put together for this year. I'm actually going to pull this out of the way because when it arrives, the family's not expecting it. The family books with us at the resort, they're not expecting anything. And then about a month before they arrive, they'll receive a package in the mail that looks like this. Obviously, it'll have their name on it. Even the name itself, when we address this, we have an address from them, and then we try to address it to the kids of the household. So to the legendary Hattershite kids. Or no, that's not what it is. It's to the legendary kids of the Hattershite household. Something, I think, pretty sure that's what it is. We do that all through Canada Post. We do a whole bunch of labels at one time. And then when they receive this, here's what's in the package. Trying to do this all with one hand with the phone and then one hand opening the package. So they received the treasure box that you just saw, and we'll open that in a second. And then they also received this letter. And this letter, there's a number of written elements to this, so I'm not going to read everything off to you. If you want to read it, you can pause this and go through and read that. But this first letter, it gives context to the box and why they're receiving it. It's essentially a letter from the owner of the resort, who's Kim, which is my mom. And it lets the family know that she's enclosed this small box because she found it in the woods, and a legendary creature, or I should say tribe of creatures, has told her to mail this box to this family. So that's the letter that they get in the mail. And then comes the box itself. So the box itself, when the family opens it, and this is where the family component comes in, is because this is meant to be opened together, even though it's for the kids of the household. They open it, and then here's what's in the box. So in the box, they've got a note, a treasure map, a key, and it's hard to tell in video, but these are actual gold flakes, so actual real pieces of gold that are in the box. So if we take these one at a time, let's start with the note. So the note says here, I found the gold of Creighton Valley, but if you are reading this, it means I was never able to come back for it. A great treasure is buried in chests near the hidden lake and waits for the ones that prove themselves worthy. I left a series of clues with the keepers. They will help you, but only if you help them. Oops, let's get rid of that gold. What you seek can be found in the sand. From there, you must learn the ways of the land. John Creighton. Now, for us, we labeled it John Creighton because we live on Creighton Valley. John Creighton was an actual logger miner that lived out there. So it actually ties in with some legitimate history of the area. And then we've labeled this as September 7th, 1856. So that's the note. Obviously, there's this key, which is a little bit of a mystery right now. And then there is the treasure map. And if you open this, oh, this is going to be difficult to do with one hand. Give me a sec here. And this treasure map, here's what it looks like on the inside. So this is kind of the back side, the outside. There's a whole bunch of SOPs for the resort that explain how we did this. We built these all ourselves in mass, in the hundreds. And then here, it actually shows a map. And this, believe it or not, is a map of the resort as it might have looked in 1856. So we have the Eagle Crest Lookout up here. We have the road. We have a cabin near the road. And then we have the hidden lake. We have the meadow. It used to be an old logging operation, so there's some logs there. And then it goes over to Echo Lake, which is still there, and the falls, which are there. And so this is all they get in the beginning. So they have this, all it is meant to do is get the kids excited about looking for the treasure of Creighton Valley. What they don't know at this point is that there's actually a few hidden clues with this. So when they arrive at the cabin, and the parents are asked to bring this treasure box with them. I mean, they would anyway. If they don't, for whatever reason, we always have spares at the resort that we can give them so that it looks as if they did bring it. But in most cases, the kids are clinging onto it and they wouldn't let it go anyway. So when they arrive at the resort, they receive a letter like this that's on the kitchen table when they arrive. And this, actually, I shouldn't say that. We did have it on the kitchen table. We found the kids were so excited to get rolling that we actually gave the parents a chance to unpack, and then we would deliver this later, we would deliver this letter later that evening or the next day. So again, I'm not going to go through all of this because there's a lot of written elements to this, but if you want to pause this and go through it, you can. What it notes, some key points here is that, again, it's a letter from Kim Hedderscheit, which they got in the first letter. So she keeps referencing the keepers, and the keepers are these elves that live in the forest. And she talks about how they might be real. And she found another note that she's leaving with the kids in the cabin from John Creighton. And that note referenced having some invisible clues on it. And so finally she found these invisible clues with a flashlight, and she also gives them a clue in the letter. The clue is buried under number 1. And there's not a lot of context to this in the letter. The clue is buried under number 1. And I'll explain to you guys in a second what that all is about. I have no idea about what that means, but I thought I'd let you borrow this flashlight to see if you can find any hidden messages on the items you were given in the box. I hope this helps on your quest. And so with this letter, there's 2 other things. There's this flashlight, and there is this letter from John Creighton. So this letter from John Creighton, I'll let you guys go through this as well. This is from John Creighton, and he talks about looking for the gold of Creighton Valley and discovering these little elves, these woodland creatures he calls the keepers. And they're called the keepers because they're the stewards of the land. They keep the land. And so he talks about the keepers. It also talks that the keepers come in 5 different tribes. There's the Himlites, the Pineys, the Siderians, the Furlongs, and the Sprucins. And so obviously you can see they're named after different trees of the forest. And that they'll help you find the treasure, but you have to present tribute to them. And this is a picture of the king of the keepers, who is from the Himlite tribe. And so it gives some context as to like what they look like, these little woodland elf creatures. And that was a drawing that was just done by Stefan, my brother. So it gets the kids excited about this. They still have this, they have this flashlight, and what the flashlight reveals is a couple of things. If we go back to this note that they received in the mail, and they start going over all of this stuff with the flashlight, initially it might be hard to find anything, but when you flip this over, there's a hidden note on here. So let's go back, and maybe I'll get rid of this letter just to isolate this. This is the note they got in the treasure box. And so it goes from invisible ink, nothing there, boom. All of a sudden, you can obviously see there's UV ink. We created a custom stamp to put this all together. So I've marked an X in the place where I buried my first clue. When you find it, the key will open the vessel. There is no lock, but the key works if you see it for what it is. Also, on the map itself, because it says he marked an X on where it is. If we go to the map, oh, this is going to be really hard to do with one hand. I'm trying to do this. Here, I'll do it. So nothing there on the map. And then when you shine over it with the flashlight, there's an X by the beach on the lake. So if there's an X by the beach on the lake, that's marked in invisible ink, and it says the key opens the first clue. They took this key with them to the beach, and if you recall in the letter they got from Kim when they're at the cabin, the clue is buried under number 1. When they go to the beach, there's a number of stakes in the sand, and they all have different numbers. These are basically, they form a bit of a fence post line, but they all have a number that's written on top of the post. So each cabin gets a different number, so they're not all ripping up different posts. And in this case, obviously the kids that would be in the whatever cabin this is, actually I don't know if it addresses it in here, but for all the cabins that we have, there's a different number. So they would go for number 1, and then they would find an old bottle, and we have a bottle capper, and this key is actually a bottle opener. And so you open the bottle because there's a note in the bottle, and that leads them, to their first clue. So this is their first clue. I'm going to read this one off. The rest I'm not necessarily going to read. So here you have the king and queen of the keepers are from the Himlite tribe. They are the guardians, and you will get nowhere unless you have their approval first. The Himlites say, only when you understand will you be understood. So your first task is to show the keepers that you seek to understand this land. You will need to deliver a tribute bouquet to the Himlite queen that includes at least 1 sprig of all the trees of the keepers, all the trees the keepers call home. The more beautiful the bouquet, the more likely it will be accepted. So what happens here at this point, they look for all the different trees from all the different keepers, and then they bring that to, and this is where there's a few details in here that we skipped over a little bit. Actually, it doesn't say in that letter. It says in the letter they come from the cabin. And I know this is a little bit confusing because I'm going through this all with you at the same time, whereas for these guys, this is over a period of months and then days once they're at the resort. So kind of they get 1 clue at a time and have time to sit on it. But one key clue in all of this is there's a forest messenger. And so to pay your tribute, you have to find the forest messenger. And it describes here, essentially the only person that can be the forest messenger ends up being Kim, who's at the resort. So they bring all their tribute to Kim. So in this case, their tribute, of course, is this bouquet. So they have to learn all the different trees. And Kim will help them with this. So when the kids and or the parents are like, hey, I don't know what all the different trees are, we know that. And so we have books that identify all the different trees. And we intentionally did these letters in more of a cursive style writing, or handwriting, I guess, if we're talking about from the Canadian perspective. So we did this in handwriting because we wanted that element of the family element to come together. So most of these kids are young, they can't read handwriting, so they need their parents' help in order to do this. So it becomes a family exercise. And one thing I forgot to mention is with these treasure boxes, the ones they get in the mail, the tie-in is obviously, again, family, because this is all written in handwriting. Nature, you can't see this in the video, but these boxes are infused with a pine scent. So there's when you open the box, because we did some burning on these maps, when you open the box, it smells like a woodland campfire. It smells like pine, and it smells like wood has been burning. So it has a kind of a pine smell and a smoke smell. That's your tie to nature. And then playful, well, the whole thing is a game, so it's playful in itself. So it fits each one of those brand filters, as does the rest of this game. So you have the first clue is that tribute bouquet. That's to the first tribe, the Himlites. The second tribute is to the Sprucens. And in this case, you need to go and identify a specific plant and bring that as tribute of a leaf from that plant. The third tribute is for the Pineys. And all of these tribes, by the way, they have their own kind of their strengths, so to speak. So these clues speak to the strengths, and there's basically a moral in each of these clues for each of these tribes. And in this case, this clue is to identify the North Star. And what we do is we give them a star chart that makes it a little bit more obvious. This doesn't seem super obvious right off the bat, but if you look at this, you've got the Big Dipper here. And then the handle of the Big Dipper points down to the North Star, which is here. So if they can identify that and explain how they got it, and I think redraw it, draw on a separate map how they found the North Star or how to find the North Star, then that's the tribute for that tribe. The Furlongs, The furlongs are good with their hands, and so in this case, what they do is they have to create a picture using pigments that are only from the woods, and so that's what they do. They find like leaves and berries and charcoal often, and they'll draw a picture on a piece of paper using just stuff from the woods, and that will be the tribute for that day. And then on this last one, the Sidarians are known for their healing powers, and it talks about how the Sidarians are, what am I trying to say? They are understanding of the fact that basically to stay healthy, you have to have healthy mind. And so they get you to contribute a selfless act. So you have to go and do some random act of kindness for either your parents or somebody else at the resort, and then you bring that to the keeper and you let them know what you've done with that. And that's all the clues. So now the big question is, okay, they submit these clues. What do they actually get with that? Well, what we've done is we ordered a few hundred of these coins. We wanted them to be actual metal. So we have these actual metal coins. We have gold, and then these were, I think they called them tarnished gold or something. But just a whole box of these. They get these, and then what we have at the resort is we have a system where the coins are worth X amount. And they can actually go to, we have a little convenience store there with toys, and these coins, they can actually buy toys or candy or chocolate or whatever with these coins. We're trying to limit the candy, so most of it's toys. And if you save up, you can get a pretty decent kind of prize for the week, so to speak. Or if you choose to blow your coins because they get a few coins every day for their tribute. And at the end, they have one kind of bigger pot of coins that they get. If they save them all, there's some bigger prizes like super soakers and stuff, boogie boards, things like that. And then if they don't, then there's just a lot of smaller kind of toy prizes. But that's the bulk of the game. The one last piece to this is our intention. This is our first year that we did it, but our intention is to have them play this almost in the same way that when you binge watch a season, it hooks you into the next season. There's an element of this where we can do that. So this might be the last letter that they receive that would hook them into the next season. So they played this year, but then there's 4 more years of play. This is actually intended to be a 5-year ongoing game, so to speak, that wraps them up in this story, and they get deeper and deeper into the story every year that they go. So that's that. Obviously, that's an incentive for them to come back, but it also just kind of gets them amped about coming back for another year. And what could the new treasure hunt be, the clues be? I didn't mention that with this takes place over 5 days. So for us, all of our guests book a week minimum or more. And in this case, this is a 5-day treasure hunt. So once they've done their task for the day, then they submit the tribute, and then they come back for the clue the next day if their tribute's been accepted. That's the way we've got it set up. There's obviously a million ways you can set this up, and we've got a number of ideas for what would be happening next year, but this is year 1. So that's what we got. Just wanted to explain to anybody that's either running this game or anybody that is interested in how we did it.